Kelly's numbers have dropped a little bit the last 5 games. Do you see a different Kelly Olynyk out there on the floor?
Just needs to be more assertive. You know, we talked about that. I mean, it's not anything that that's a negative to him from the standpoint of who he is or the ability level of his play. But for our team to be good, we need our bigs to be very assertive and, you know, do what they do best. And, you know, hey, we've seen it time and again. We rely on our bigs to do a lot for us. And so we've just got to continue to, you know, encourage him to do that. And so, you know, I don't think one of the things about Kelly is he's going to come out and he's going to play. Kelly's a great kid. He's a big part of us now. He's a big part of us moving forward. And, you know, he won't get too caught up in this.
All right, part 2. This is the Kelly Olynyk haterade hour now.
Yeah.
It's been a really tough couple of weeks for Kelly Olynyk, and things just kept getting worse today. He was benched before the game by Brad Stevens, his first starting lineup change of the regular season, bringing in Tyler Zeller to start for him. Now, he said before the game, asked why Tyler Zeller was starting, and he said, well, that's an easy answer, Tim Duncan. Better matchup against Tim Duncan. Now, Kelly Olynyk has been a disaster defensively so far.
He has.
He's kind of getting run around in circles.
It's a good excuse for Stevens. That makes sense.
But he's been making up for it for the most part with really good high post passing, good shooting, nice little scoring. That's kind of disappeared. He had 4 points in his last 2 games coming into today, and then he had 3 points.
Spot.
1 for 6. It was bad. I mean, just everything. He came out there. He was a 4th big in the game. Bass went ahead of him. Bass had a solid first half. And Olynyk came out there, missed some shots. He was Baines was running around him. And, Duncan was getting around him when they were going up against each other. Bonner
he basically went out there to get a nice sweat going today.
Yeah, basically. And he greased the floor up a little bit. But, I mean, what's wrong with Kelly Olynyk and what needs to get better?
What's wrong with him, I think, is just that he's not that aggressive of a player. He's a big guy that, you know, doesn't like to push people around or get pushed around down in the post. He can rebound because of his size, but he's not a particularly great one or good one. You know, there was a point in this season, maybe 8 or so games in, when you could argue that Olynyk was, if not the Celtics' best player, at least, you know, one of the few best players so far in their season. He's a skilled player. He can shoot the ball well. He's a good scorer. He probably needs to take more jump shots than he does. But, you know, those are the things he does well already. What he needs to do is improve on the things that he does not do well, and that's, you know, bang around down in the low post, because essentially that got him benched tonight because he can't do that. And, you know, Zeller is not the greatest in the world, but he's better than Olynyk. That got him the start. Olynyk came in and didn't, you know, maybe it would light a fire under him, like, all right, I'm going to get in the paint tonight and get something going. Didn't give him any kind of spark in that way, obviously.
You know, the thing is, you're talking about Zeller being able to bang down low. He doesn't even do a ton of his offense posting up or anything like that. It's really the pick and roll is his real game.
He does finish off of that. And defensively, at least, he's able to kind of.
That's true. He can handle his own defensively. But offensively, Kelly Olynyk, while pick and pop might make sense for him because he's a good shooter, and then might, as far as affecting the defense, that might work out better for the Celtics. But he still needs to be able to roll to the hoop. And Solinger does it sometimes, but not enough. But if Olynyk wants to beat out Tyler Zeller, he's got to show that he can get into the paint. And that's somewhere where the Celtics have been effective. But Kelly Olynyk has been the one guy that should be effective there that hasn't really been effective for them there.
For sure. You said it.
Yeah.
He needs to get in there, and he hasn't. So maybe he needs to sit down with Tommy Heinsohn for a long talk.
That's true. And Tommy's a guy that he could really benefit from, considering how many similarities
Tommy loves telling people to go down in the post and get dirty.
And he was a guy he's shown such a great back to the basket and face-up game in Summer League. But we just haven't seen it happen really at all.
I mean, like I said, he's a skilled player. If he, you know, can kind of get more aggressive, he can use those skills in ways that I don't think we've seen him use.
Okay, well, he's got a box out and segue, boxing out stat of the night. What's your stat of the night?
Very good.
Thank you.
So my stat of the night is going to be, the Spurs obviously always give you a well-rounded effort. Tonight, they had 5 players in double figures, but, you know, that didn't even include Tony Parker and Manu Ginobili, who had 9 and 7 points respectively. It just shows you, what I really got from it was that this team can beat you in so many ways when they have, arguably their 2 best players have 7 and 9 points, and they come out and blow you out with all these other guys. That's just who the Spurs are.
Now, for me, my stat is the amount of field goals that the Celtics hit before the garbage time at the 4:19 mark.
Very good.
In the fourth quarter, 1 field goal hit by Jared Sullinger. There were a couple guys that got to the line, but Jared Sullinger had the only field goal. And it was on the fast break, too. So in half-court offense, they couldn't get a single field goal before they brought in the guys for garbage time. And then James Young hit a nice shot. Dwight Powell hit several really nice baskets. That guy, 6'11" guy that was driving to the rim like he was Giannis at the
I like Dwight. Good job.
I mean, he can't do a Euro step from the three-point line, but yeah, I was practicing that. I say Antetokounmpo in my sleep just to
I say Greek freak.
There you go. That's a lot easier. Or Giannis, that's easier.
Yeah.
I just wish we could talk about Giannis. We should do a Bucks post-game show just so we can talk about him all night long.
I think their first visit is April, I believe.
Oh, good. So
you
a
can
long
sit
ways
on that
away,
for a while.
where those two teams will be really fighting for the playoffs
yeah.
at that point, although we'll see at Milwaukee. But I want to segue that into my my baller of the night, because it's also a stat there. So there's a plus 28 differential for Kawhi Leonard and a minus 28 differential for Jeff Green, and that's why Kawhi Leonard is my baller of the night.
That's a lot of points.
Yeah,
that's 56, I believe.
That's a pretty huge swing.
Yep.
So who's your baller?
My baller of the night is Aaron Baines, just because I thought he really broke the game open at the beginning of the fourth quarter. He's one of the guys that I just talked about, how Parker, Ginobili have pedestrian nights. Other guys do the damage. It was a 5-point game coming into the fourth quarter. Baines hit a 3, had a monster dunk, and then by the time you look up, it's that 4-minute timeout where Stevens is saying, all right, you got us, and throwing the rookies and bench warmers in there. And, you know, I think he had 9 points in the fourth quarter. He only had 13 points on the game, but the Spurs high scorer was Danny Green with 18. So if you're going to pick a guy, there's tons of guys to pick from. I thought Baines was the guy that kind of helped them break it open.
Yeah, and he was solid all around. He was good with the second unit in the first half.
He's a very bad matchup for Kelly Olynyk because he is very physical. He has no problem, you know, getting in and doing the dirty work.
But he can shoot and he can move from the outside.
Yeah.
He basically is doing what Kelly Olynyk should be doing.
That's what I was just about to say. If he can do it from the outside, then Olynyk can do it on the inside.
All right. Well, we're going to leave it there. Thanks, Julian. That was a fun show. We're going to keep it short and sweet because we know we got a lot of people watching Pat's coverage too tonight. So thanks for squeezing us in there. So don't forget to like The Garden Report on Facebook and to like CLNS Radio on Facebook. You can follow Julian and I on Twitter. And don't forget to listen to the Celtics postgame show after every single game on CLNS Radio, and you can listen to the podcast version later. So if you're watching us now, which is the next day, or since it's a 1 o'clock game later in the evening, just listen to it on demand. You can find us on iTunes. You can find that show on iTunes. So give it a listen. Get all the Celtics coverage you need. So for Julian, I'm Jared. Until next time, we'll see you later on The Garden Report.
What's the biggest difference you've seen in Rajon Rondo's game compared to the last time he played the Celtics?
I don't know. I haven't watched any film. I'm not trying to be a wise guy. I'm just telling you the truth. I'll make something up if you want, but
if you had to make something up, what would it be?
He's even better looking than he was last year.
Looks-wise or basketball-wise?
No, looks-wise. He's a good-looking guy. I don't see any reason to watch film. I just when my team has a game and they have 0 turnovers and we shoot 60% and the other team scores 40, then I'll start worrying about the other teams. But until that happens, I've got enough to correct and teach on my team, and that's how I spend my time.
So what do you do to try to get a feel for what the other team is going to bring?
One of the assistants will tell me something. And, you know, I believe whatever they tell me. So if they say, we're going to do this on the pick and roll, I say, okay, or I don't know if I want to do that. And then you go play. I mean, have you seen a secret play lately? Or a new pick and roll defense? Or some new amazing continuity offense that nobody can guard? It's the same stuff every day. Whoever executes the best, whoever is the most competitive and does both on a consistent basis for more of the 48, that's the team that wins.